First thing they do wrong is they don't have an operational agreement. Rami's going to do this, Andy's going to do this. They don't have the documentation that says, in case of a fight, what do we refer to? Instead of like, oh no, we don't need that. We're family. We're going to get along. We're so good. And that shit always goes sideways.
Is it a good year to go in business, especially with family, or have a startup, or do anything with anybody in 2025 to make money? For that reason, I have my dear friend Andy O'Brien, personal coach, a speaker, author, and we're going to talk about that. Is it good to go to a business with family or even friends right now? For that reason, we're going to talk about what the fuck was I thinking? I'm sorry, but this is the title of the book. Andy, welcome to the show, my friend. I love the title of the book, man. Well, it's so cool.
Yeah, maybe you should hold that up so they don't think we're just
guys.
There it is.
This is the evidence. I didn't make this up. This is the evidence. I didn't make that up. Here you go.
And it's really funny. And when I've done other news stations or TV or radio, we have to say what the family, because, you know, the SEC or whatever the heck it is.
It's a sensitive word.
Oh, they're very sensitive. Like, we're all going to get fined for some reason here. So, well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It's a great book available on Amazon right now. And
yes.
Yep. And your website as well.
AndyO'Brien.biz.
AndyO'Brien.biz. Go get it, guys. You learn a lot. And as I said, 2025 is going to be a great year, but if you want to go to the family business, you got to read this book.
Oh yeah, it was a pet project of mine with all the clients. Plus, you know, I grew up in a family business. Plus, I work with my family. And did I tell you I didn't make up the title? So
what do you mean?
Jody did. So really? I can't be yelled at for making up
his wife.
Oh yeah, Jody's my wife. Yeah. So she came up with the title. So I couldn't come up with the title.
The stuff that you put her through.
Yeah, it just totally ruined her. Well, it's so funny. I mean, we'll go through some of the chapter titles as we go through this, but I had everything else done, and then I couldn't come up with the title. It was crazy.
You wrote the book first, and then you came up with the title.
Yes, we had the idea, we had the information. Well, that's kind of a unique story in itself. So we actually rewrote the book twice. Here's why. So those of you that don't know me, that's fine. You're going to get to know me. The first time I wrote the book, I had advice that I needed to write it so it was politically correct and I didn't offend people. And so I really went through the book and I wrote it, and then I didn't want to self-publish. My attention to detail, phrases, punctuation, adverbs, adjectives is not the greatest. Math, I'm really good at math. All of those other things, I didn't want to have to be the guy that went through and did it. And so we met a publisher who's a client of ours, Atmosphere Press, great company. And so they had been to several of our workshops. They'd been through several of our programs. And then I brought the book to him, and he read it, and he asked me who wrote it. I'm like, I did. He's like, this sounds nothing like you. And so that was kind of an eye-opener. He's like, I want you to go back and write this as you would normally say something. How would you say it? How would you do it? And so he sent me back on. So we got ready to publish, and he's like, yeah, do it again. And so we went back through and rewrote the whole book. Not rewrite the whole thing, but we rewrote it in how I would actually speak to a client, speak to a family member, speak to a husband, a wife, a brother, a cousin, a grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, all of those people. And so, yeah, it put it about 6 months behind.
I am sure you be in this situation. That's what, you wrote the book. People get together over the family dinner, Thanksgiving, the end of the year, Christmas. They come up with these business ideas.
Yeah.
And that can be like a new venture, new startups. It doesn't matter, from the SaaS to retail to, restaurant, whatever it is. And the family gets together, usually the younger ones, and say, hey, let's do this together. I know this, you know that. Therefore, we're going to really make it. We're going to make $1 million by the end of the next year. Is that the true story?
Oh, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And they forget, every business that I've ever worked with, been around, every technician turned into a business owner, every family, every partnership, they start off with these grand plans of how easy it is because they look at other businesses. Well, how hard can it be? The reality is every overnight success is a 10,000 hour journey to success. It is a slug. And what ends up happening with those family members is they start fighting because there's resentment. Tons of resentment. People, well, first thing they do wrong is they don't have an operational agreement. Rami's going to do this, Andy's going to do this. They don't have the documentation that says, in case of a fight, what do we refer to? Instead of like, oh no, we don't need that. We're family. We're going to get along. We're so good. And that shit always goes sideways. So the first thing we have to get them to do is, one, they have to create a business, right? Come up with a plan, not a napkin plan. But that's how a lot of them start. We talked about it at grandma's kitchen table or mom's table or dad's table or whatever your family looks like. And then they come up with what they think is a plan because they worked for somebody and they hated working for that person. And that person treated them like shit. And they thought that person was crazy. And then they go start their own business because they were good, automotive, construction, SaaS, restaurants, you name it. And then they realize after about a short year, they have just went to work for the craziest guy in the history of the world, and that's themselves.
And they have to work more hours because they think that,
What, more hours? More hours? What is that shit?
Both of us, we do that, Some people unfortunately think that to become entrepreneur or own your business is less hours.
Oh my gosh.
But it's not. It's opposite that.
Well, how many times have you heard, oh, you're so lucky.
Oh, many times.
You can go on vacation. You make your own hours and you don't have to listen to anybody. Oh, yeah. That shit's not real. Right? I mean, there's the pain of regret or there's the pain of discipline. Choose your poison.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong. I think there's nothing wrong to be a number 2 in a company if you're comfortable with it. Or number 3, number 4, or work for somebody. If you collect a paycheck, you go do your work the best you can, and then go home at 5, 6 p.m. And
if that's for you, but that's not where wealth is created.
Yes.
Wealth is created by trying it yourself. Wealth is created by creating it yourself. But there's so much misinformation, and I know that's a word that the politics use, but there's two sides of the fence. One, there's the societal, like every business owner is loaded and they're screwing the people and, they're not giving back. And then there's the other side of the fence that, that I want to be an employee. I don't want to have any responsibilities. Well, you can't have it both ways. When I talk about small business, and according to the U.S. Census, a small business is anywhere from, I think it's 20 million to 50 million. A micro business is considered under 15 million.
Wow.
Yeah, the misconception of it, like, oh, I have a business. Well, if you're under 15 million, you're a micro business. Now, let's just call business what it is. It's a small business. You have a family member, but there's no easy way around it. You have to work the hours. You have to put in the time. You have to do the work. You have to build processes. You have to build processes so you can hire more people to do other things. But people skip over that stuff.
The basic things.
Oh, total basics. Total basics. First one's boundaries.
That's the big one.
When I grew up in a family business, every Sunday.
With your dad, yeah?
Yeah, my dad, my grandfather, my aunt and uncle, my cousins. Everybody takes sides. Everybody takes sides. And we had a great family. I mean, great family. But every Sunday was brunch at grandma's. She immigrated from Italy, so we had pasta. But every Sunday, every birthday, every Christmas, every New Year's, Easter, hey, guess what? It's a board meeting, right? They all start talking about the business. Now, I'm not perfect at this. I break this rule all the time. But as a family, because now, I work with my wife, I work with my son, I try not to recreate the errors that I made as a son, and I'm learning not to recreate the problems I am as a father. But guess what? I trip and I fall and we get up, but we have some pretty hard and fast rules about how we react and what we do next. And we had to do it. And that's trial and error. But boundaries, like one of my favorites with clients is and we went through this a lot. And this is, I don't know about you guys at home, but there's usually one person in the household. If you're married, your partner's your significant other, right when you lay down and you're just getting comfortable, somebody wants to talk about work.
Yeah, I know.
It just pisses me off. Like that is my hot button. That is my absolute and we've broken it. Like we've broken it many times, but we finally had to have the conversation that the bedroom is no place for business. None. Unless, how did you sleep? I got to go to the office. When we go into the bedroom at night, it's no talk about our company because one of us will be up all night long. It doesn't matter. One of us will. So one of the first things we teach families is how do you develop boundaries? And let me just say that is the hardest next
breaking habits.
Oh, it is. Well, when else are we going to talk to each other? At the office?
You got 8 hours.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of time. But so many people worry about that. So many people, are cobblers. They want to take care of the customers instead of themselves. And it's a huge problem. It's a problem everywhere.
What is the biggest challenges you have seen? Because you coach a lot of people through Action Coach program and your coaching sessions. But what is the biggest problem you have seen so far?
With family businesses? Well, it next to boundaries is a big one, is that family businesses use the business as a checkbook business instead of a business. And what I mean by that is they start, they listen to their brother, sister's cousin, who's a dog walker. Well, my friend said you should run all your expenses through your business. Well, back in the 80s and early 90s, there were those loopholes. They're not there anymore.
Yes.
People that they run all of their household expenses in the business from gas. I mean, gasoline's one thing, but I'm going to wash my car every week, or I'm going to pay my internet from the business or from the house through the business, and TV subscriptions, and they use the company credit card for miscellaneous things. And then they leave it up to their CPA to have to fix it. And then all of a sudden they're like, you've got, at the end of the year, you got $15,000, $20,000 in taxes you have to pay. Number one thing you got to do is get that shit out of your business. Make it a business, because at the end of the year, if you ever try to sell this, and this is the other mistake, they go into business thinking it's a retirement plan, and that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. But they run all this stuff through. Well, then if you get an investor that comes in or wants to buy it, or you want to sell it, you don't have clean books. You can't tell what net income is. You can't tell what profits in the business. You can't tell if there's retained earnings. You can't tell any of that stuff. And so then it takes another 3 years to clean up the books. Get that shit out of your business. Pay yourself a salary. And if the business can't afford to pay your salary, spend less.
Basically, what you're telling me, I hear this, set up your foundation. And if you don't know it, go ask for help.
Yeah.
Like what you do as an action coach.
Yeah.
You go to businesses, family businesses, and they don't know all this stuff. Somebody has to educate them from operation, from finance, from book, name it.
Well, there's 21 pillars in business. 21. Wow. Plus, in those 21 pillars, there are 642 areas within those 21 that we look at on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. I mean, they're like, people are like, that's bullshit. No, not all of them apply to every business. But when you look at a business, it's not just, aim, shoot, and then load the gun. You have to build a plan. So you've got to look at it holistically. And sometimes it's just foundational repairs, right? I mean, mastery. One of my favorite things that we solve with family business is time mastery or self. We've got to look at that first, because people go into business for a multitude of reasons. But most importantly, and I tell this to people, who do you know that never has enough time? They're never home. They miss little Bobby's soccer game or Sally's piano recital or choir concert. They don't have time to do the work at the business because they're too busy doing other jobs. They don't have a team because people refuse to work for them. Yep, I said it. I don't want to hear this shit about people don't want to work. They don't want to work for you. But that person that has turnover in the business and they can't hire anybody and they don't trust anybody. And then that same person doesn't have any money. There's never enough. Do you know anybody like that?
Yep.
That's what we fix every day. Not just in family business. We fix that and so much more every day because family business, the purpose of it is to give you more life, more love, and more time.
Not vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go to businesses, okay, somebody needs your help. This is like a scenario. Somebody calls you, say, hey, I need help. Andy, come here. Which one do you audit first, people or numbers?
We do both. So let me be clear, people, I only audit the person who's standing in front of me, the owner of the business. So if there are a multitude, if it's a family, husband, wife, mother, husband, wife, father, two brothers, a wife, sisters and brothers, if they all of them have to come to the table.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then we just start having all the stakeholders. We have conversations. We have a great conversation about it. We talk about them. We our process is so simple, right? We offer 2 weeks of free coaching, right? And we gather data. Send a questionnaire, pretty self-explanatory. We send the questionnaire. Everybody fills it out separately and sends it to us together. That's when the heavy lifting goes. Our team starts doing research. At that same time, I know our coaches, we have a firm, so we have multiple coaches in multiple states doing different things. But as soon as that comes in, we all have questions. It's just our nature. So then next thing we do is we pick up the phone, we call those stakeholders and say, okay, you answered this. I ask clarifying questions because a lot of times it's pretty broad base. They'll use terms like we do this. No, but what do you do? So we get clarity. And then from there, we've already set up a time and then we go in at that same time and I have all the questionnaires or Tanner or Jody or any of our partners has the questionnaires. And then we sit down and we do what we call a strategy session, right? I call it a diagnostic because we're doing a diagnostic of the business. Based on that, we look at the diagnostic, we look at it, we start talking about strategies and tactics. A lot of times, well, we've tried that. When did you try it? How did you try it? What was the process you followed? Oh, we didn't. We just did whatever we wanted. And then we come up, our job is to get a return on investment. If we're looking at somebody's business, we're not the fix-it coach. We're not.
You got to increase the profit.
We have to.
Okay.
Look here in Austin, we were just talking about this earlier. You can't throw a baseball in a crowd without hitting somebody that says they're a coach. They usually have a side hustle. They were really good at something, so they say they're going to be a coach, but they have to have a full-time job because they can't afford to pay their bills by being a coach because they don't know how to run that business. That's not us. We are a full-time, 365, 24/7 coaching firm, business, education, executive leadership. That's what we do every day. We're the only coaching company in this metroplex, basically anywhere in the nation that offers a guarantee. And we offer the guarantee is to get a return on investment, return on value, and a return on time in 17 weeks, or we'll coach you for free. Nobody else says that. They're like, well, no. Because really, coaching should be free for the client. And let me explain that.
What do you mean by free?
Free. It should be free for the client. The return on investment for the profit that you make in the business, the revenue that you recoup, the things that you fix should encapsulate the investment in coaching. At the end of the day, it should be free. That's the way we look at it. That's the way we explain it because there has to be a return on investment. There's so many people like life coaches. Love them. They have a great purpose. We're not life coaches. We are business coaches with business degrees and MBAs. The reality of the business. Yeah, we talk about personal things. If you're working with your husband or wife or brother or sister, life gets in the way. But we didn't take a 3-hour course to be a business coach. We work on the business first, and then we work on the emotion second.
And have you ever had any client that you said is not going to be a fit?
Oh, all the time.
Why?
Ego. I know
really?
Mindset. Oh, totally. They don't want to be told what to do. They call us in. They want us to fix everybody else but themselves. That's not how it works. Everybody has to look in the mirror here. It's funny. People were asking like, oh, do you have a coach? Absolutely. That's the difference between us and other coaches.
Have a coach, yeah.
Well, of course we have a coach. It's congruency. Plus, my coach kicks my ass. He holds me accountable. And he doesn't take any shit, whether it's from me, the CEO, who's my wife, the CFO, who's my son, or me. Does take no shit. Like it's his way or no way. And I pay him, $5,000 a month to do that because I know it helps my business. We do that because we get better. As a collective family, it makes us better. As a collective business group with a board meeting, it makes us accountable to the business, not vice versa. Because I want to be able to sell this, and I will sell this.
You got to have that exit strategy. But the reason that you wrote the book is because of all the ups and downs, everything that you went through, and you still going through that. Like that's the reason, not the upside down, but still that's the reason you're going to help other people.
Absolutely.
Don't make this mistake. I already made that.
We try to tell people that all the time, and they just don't listen. So if you look at the book at the end of each chapter, at the end of the book, there are 15 steps that you could do immediately in your business just with the book to be able to move your business. Do we still make mistakes? Of course I do. It's, do I hang up on people? Yeah. When I get pissed off, I have to go walk around the building. Okay. I'm also a dad. So, you have to be smart enough to know that I'm still an employee in the business. That's the hardest part for them.
Separation. That's going to be very hard. Like you consider yourself as an employee or the owner, or you have to pull your weight as an employee. I think the family business, sometimes they don't understand that.
No,
I'm just here for 2 hours. Okay, you'll be here for 4 hours. No, we are actually an employee.
A lot of times, the biggest controversy is everybody walks around and then you have employees that have to answer to 3 or 4 masters. It doesn't work. I don't care how the shares are divided. Remember that operational agreement I talked about?
Yep.
That spells it out. That is the catalyst to get people to pull their heads out of their butts. If they don't have an operational agreement, we write one right away. This is what we have to do. Because if you're a 50-50 owner or a 33-33-33 or whatever the dividing is, doesn't mean shit to your employees. It just pisses them off. Somebody has to be in charge. You can't have 4 or 5 people run around telling people they're in charge. It'll make your employees crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the president. Somebody has to be the CEO. Somebody has to do marketing. Somebody has to do finance. And I spell it out in there, and we do it every day. But if you're not an employee of the business, what are you doing? So think about it like this. I'm a shareholder of our organization. I own shares in the business. One day a month, which is tomorrow afternoon, is our board meeting where I am an equal owner in the business. The other 27 days this month, I am an employee. I have a job to do. I have quotas. I have KPIs. I have tactics and strategies that I have to do every day. So does everybody else, including the CEO, CFO, marketing people, admin. All of these people have the same things I do. Why? Because it's fair and it gives people some peace of mind.
Basically, you are an employee too.
Yeah, but that's the thing about it is, yes, do people treat me a little differently? Yeah, but in the meeting, whoever's running the meeting has no problem calling out, and I can't be mad. If I didn't do my job, that's my problem, not the company's. I have to answer to standards. That's what I'm trying to say. There has to be standards.
One of the biggest problem I have seen, when family business start growing, making money, the money brings a lot of different things. Like the profit, how it's going to be distributed. That goes to the operational agreement. Or, I made this, that was because of me. If I wouldn't do this, we wouldn't make this. Or all that. I have seen it is how people are going to solve that. Your business is growing. That doesn't mean that you got to take $10,000 extra this month. Oh, we made this one. No, we got to have it for our rainy days.
Well, that is a slippery slope. That's why we have those conversations up front. Look, when people start businesses, they don't have the stopgaps to protect themselves and the business. There has to be meat into the operational agreement that punishes people.
What do you mean by punishment?
Well, okay, holds them accountable, meaning I can be fired from my company. I'm the founder. I started this company, but the agreement I signed means if I don't do my job, I can be fired. This scares the shit out of people. You can't tell me what to do. I'm not. You're signing the document that says if you don't do your job, you can be terminated by the other shareholders in the business based on standards, not on emotions. That's the stuff we have to iron out. When they go through this, let's just talk net income, which is profit. Okay. So for those of you out there that are super smart, you know, profit is at the end, net income is after tax.
Yep.
When it's done, dividends are paid based on the shares. It's not equal. If your shares are equal, the money's equal. If you're not equal, you are paid based on the shares of the business.
Like 49.51.
Yeah. You are paid on that at the end. At the end, not in the middle of the year.
Like a net income, for example, is $1,000, for example, 49.51.
Yeah. And so then you also have to look at, wait, how much money do we need to leave in the business for reinvestment? What's our floor? How much profit do we need to keep in the business? All of these things. And this is where those that deal with the finances have an upper hand, and those family members that don't understand it. And you have to mathematically chart it out so they understand, because it was like, oh my God, I get all this money. Well, guess what? Somebody still has to pay tax on that. You got to be very delicate. Family businesses are wonderful because you can generate profit, you can have trust and rapport, and you can build the business fast. But it's also can be really detrimental if you don't have those things. And then the little green monster of envy or greed, you got to address that in the beginning. This is how we're going to deal with this behavior. This is how we're going to deal with this. And it causes a ton of animosity.
I think you're right. And having a process and foundation is very important at the beginning to do that. But as business grows, other stuff is coming in, like marketing, advertising. And some businesses, they don't understand. We talk about this off camera, that what is the percentage for your marketing? What is the percentage for your advertising? Because you got to do something. You're going to run out of the friends and family, one day to get this, the word out. But how that's going to work?
So I look at it two ways. One, I'm not a firm believer in percentages. I think that's entitlement. And I think we need to measure based on what works, not what we think works. And so if you have tracking mechanisms in your business, and let's say you have $1 million business and you have 20% net income at the end of it, which would be $200,000, right? So you have to look at that number and go, okay, if we invested X, what you call out whatever X is, there's a lot of variables that go into it. I'm looking at acquisition cost per ad, right? Return on ad spend. And so all of these things play into it. So if you're spending $300 on Facebook ads and you get one client and that one client buys something for you for $300, in theory, we only needed one client. But the fact of the matter is that of that $300 of that product, it's not all profit. So if you don't know your profitability, you can't back into what your acquisition cost is actually. You have to really do the math and be like, if you need 10 clients, you need 30 clients, and of those $300 clients, every one of them has 10 cents profit, or excuse me, not 10 cents, but $10 or $20 profit, you got to mathematically figure out between that original $300 and how much profit covered that, right? So you have to look at break even, you have to look at acquisition cost, and then you have to look at max utilization of the ad. Mm. If you're spending money and you can mathematically get all of that data, I keep doing more, double down on it, do more.
Because it's working.
It's working. That's the whole mathematical question. And that's where people get in trouble. They want to do a percentage of it, but they don't know what works. Wow. You have to track. You've got to know your numbers. And you've got to be able to mathematically walk into how much did the ad cost? Where was it going? Who is our target market? Who wrote the copy? Who was it going to? And then you have to do 4 or 5 different ads to see what's working. And once you get there, if you have something that's working and it's driving tons and tons and thousands of dollars in your business, do more of that. My favorite thing to argue with people about is, well, I'm just tired of that. What? Well, I just don't like it anymore. Your bank account doesn't give a shit about your emotions. They don't care if you like it or not. It works. Be quiet.
It's not a
freshen it up, make it different colors, but don't stop doing that. That's one of my favorite arguments. They just want to stop. And it's like, Well, there you were sprinkled with some dumb dust this morning.
It's a lot of small businesses. They don't believe what you just said. They said, "Okay, I'm a small business. I don't need marketing."
Oh, that's the dumbest thing that I've ever heard.
I heard that a lot.
Well, think about that in COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, stop marketing. What do you mean stop marketing? Your accountant told you that. Don't be spending money. The economy had to open up. That's if you were in business during COVID, that should be your lesson. Always be marketing. Always. Don't tell me I hung a shingle out, put my name on it, and they should just want to come here.
And this is the most important thing. Like I heard people during the COVID, they got all this PPP, that the government gave them. Most of the business, they didn't really use it wisely. Like they got it and they put in the personal spend, and which is IRS is coming, after those people, it. But, they didn't use it to their benefits as far as, okay, how can I project this to like this marketing that you said is working, or operation efficiency, or let me round up my number, let me do this. Why was human? Why we use all that? A lot of people, they use that money for different things.
Well, that is a great question. Absolute great question. I mean, if there's anything that we've taught, the day's coming, right? Granted, it was really cheap money, and our clients weren't misusing the money. They were using it where they needed to for their employees, paying payroll, making sure their people were employed, making sure they had products and services they could sell. Marketing. Because if they were keeping the people employed and the business was running, that meant we had revenue coming in based on it. We were using that. In today's society, anybody that tells you to stop marketing or we don't need marketing, let me do I'm going to dumb this down as much as I can. Okay? If you're talking to people and people are coming in your door, whether it's referrals, testimonials, marketing, Facebook, social, digital, video, YouTube, you name it, you are marketing in some way, shape, or form. You just don't know the data. You don't know where it's coming from, and you've never measured it. You've got to measure it. It's one of the most misconceived. We fire tons of marketing. We fire tons of marketing companies for our clients because we ask for simple data. That little equation I went through with you.
Yeah.
We ask for that because if I'm going to be held to that standard,
you got to be too.
Yeah, they have to be too. So we want our clients to know those numbers, not because they need busy work, because you can extrapolate. Once you get all of that data, now you know what you have to do in order to bring a client in the door.
Yeah, if you don't know cost per click or conversion rate, how you know you're going to run the next campaign based on what?
You can't. And it's so interesting. These marketing people, there's some really good ones. You're one of them. The gal we just talked to is another one. There are some really good companies out there that can track this. They have data collection centers and do it. But there's some really bad ones that are just throwing shit at the wall. And, do TikTok, do this, do that. Oh, okay, great. What's the ROI?
We had like a plumbing company say, everybody said I got to be on Twitter. Now is X. They don't know what they don't know. That's why you come in as a coach and say, hey, let me tell you how it's going to work.
Yeah, and let's find out what you're doing. You might have things that you're already doing that are working really well, but you just can't see it. Our job is not to change anything. I mean, unless you're still running Yellow Page ads, we're going to have that conversation.
Wow.
Well, my parents still use the Yellow Pages. Right?
Really?
They still go to the phone book to look for a phone number. It's you have to remember there's generations out there that are doing different things.
And right now with all the technology we have available, like rise of the AI, as you know, is we have tools to do things. You can write, if you're a small business, you can tell them, you don't hire this marketing company, that's fine, but you can write your blog, just write it and do that and post it or whatever you do. There's a lot of creative ways that you can do with minimum cost.
There are hundreds of things you can do in your business that don't cost you anything but time. And a lot of people, whether you're in a service business or not, you have time. You don't have money. So you got to weigh them.
But we think that I build it, you have to come to me. This is, I hear a lot. I have a great product. I said, so? A lot of other people, they have that too.
If you can't handle the truth, you're probably not a good fit for me. Maybe one of our other coaches, but I'll tell you your baby's ugly. I have no problem telling you that. It doesn't do me any good any longer to be nice to these people.
Honest man, folks. Honest man. I love it.
Well, you and I have had the conversation. Like, no, that's a really bad idea.
It's good, especially in business. Yeah,
I can't
that's a
help
true
you.
coach.
Oh yeah. What is it? NICE stands for nothing inside me cares enough to lie to you. Right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're wonderful and great. I'm going to tell you you're doing a lot of great things, but we got to patch the cracks over here.
Because you look at the numbers don't lie.
That's exactly it. Business is math, business is people. People are a challenge, especially if you have split personalities. I speak from experience, I do, depending on who I'm talking to. But math doesn't lie. Numbers don't lie. Data doesn't lie. You know, there's a great book out there on getting all of the data. It's called The Conversion Code. It's a great book. If you're not a data person, this will blow your mind. In fact, it hurt my brain for a while when I was reading it. But it's a great book on how to measure things. You know, there's another book out there, Measure What Matters.
Measure what matters.
You know, there's a lot of businesses out there that just need to measure something. And when we say, know your numbers, they're not always financial, right? They're repeat business, they're average dollar sale, they're how many transactions, how many invoices do we send out? What's the turnover of inventory? How many turns do we get out of it? How much inventory controls do we have? I mean, it's just measure things. Measure for your business. We talk about it in the book too. It's you have to measure the things that matter to you. And that's hard for people because they're like, I don't know where to start.
A lot of us, we don't want to deal with numbers. We just want to run the operation, and it doesn't work. I'm guilty of it too sometimes. That's what I got. That's my, accounting person, and she's my second boss. They say, hey, look at this, where this money went, But it's something you got to get it done. If you can do it, bring somebody that they can.
Absolutely. And leverage is important.
Yeah.
Leverage.
And focus on what you're good at it.
Yeah. I mean, find bookkeepers. There's a lot of good ones out there. Don't hire your brother, sister's cousin who's a dog walker to do your books because they're really good at math. That's a really bad idea. That in today's, I mean, it's so funny. I talked about it in the book, but the IRS manual is 77,000 pages.
What?
Go look it up. It's like 77,000 some odd numbers. It is 77,000 pages. That's what CPAs get paid for. I love people. I want the cheapest CPA. That's too much.
Yeah, good luck.
That is a save but button. Don't cut costs there. Don't get a bad one because you'll be paying tax for a long time.
Exactly.
You do not want a bad one. You want a registered CPA that is up to date, tax preparer that knows all of those laws.
Especially during the COVID, you remember?
Oh my gosh.
It was a shit show.
Well, even 2024 with all the changes and now the changes in politics, those guys, holy smoker dogs, the laws, the rules that change between politicians.
Things are changing rapidly. Like you get up in the morning, some, financial thing is changing. The way IRS is going to treat you in different ways, You always have to be ready.
I laugh all the time. People are like, well, my business is the same. I'm like, how many of you have went out and bought a new phone in the last 12 months? Hell, last 6 months. It's outdated as soon as you get it. The point I'm trying to make is there are people out there that won't change anything in their business, but they'll get a new phone every year because it's cool, but they don't understand
That's actually true.
But they have to look at the business needs to change too. Your business is an organism. Your business is growing or dying.
Exactly, it's a live organism.
Yes, you have to treat it like one. And I'll let you. What's chapter 9? I think I know what it says. I'm going to have you read it. I'll let you read some chapter titles and see what people think. But when we get to chapter 9, you'll have some fun with that.
Chapter 9, right here. I think I have 8. Chapter 9. Face it, tackle it, freak the fuck out. The reality of running a family business. This is a great title.
Well, but that's why we end with it. Look, family businesses are no harder or easier than any other business. You just throw love in there. You throw sleeping with your business partner or anybody else that's in the business. I mean, all of this happens in everybody's business.
So many family business owners walk around like a glow stick until someone like Andy O'Brien slaps them and shakes them until the light comes on. Hey, we all need that. We all need that. I'm serious. Somebody has to shape us. Somebody has to tell us what the fuck we're doing.
Well, and we're not for everybody, but we have businesses that are scaling every day. We have business, we help.
You had businesses that scale rapidly.
And they're exiting. We have people that are exiting. We got a business owner. He's 67. He's selling his business. They had a 1,400% increase in the last 2 years in profitability.
What did you change?
I didn't change anything. They started measuring everything. It takes time. This business has been measuring things for 12 years, and they finally got to the point where everything that we were measuring all started to tie together with each other, and they have a great leadership team. Great leadership team. Shane, if you're out there listening, you're doing a great job. Like, he has done a great job. His teammates in there, they're measuring, and they started measuring what matters. And over the last 2 years,
what works, what doesn't work,
they started seeing a constant increase in profitability, and it allows them to grow. Measuring takes time. When we come into a business, we don't start all of this shit day one. The first thing we start with is time. Like, what are we spending our time on so I can actually draw conclusions? Yeah. From there, it all depends on what the business owner wants.
You always tell me this. You got to have an exit strategy.
Well, yeah, you're either going to do it your way or the Almighty is going to do it for you.
Exactly.
Take your pick.
Basically, you got to have an exit strategy, but you have to build it right. Otherwise, you're not going to exit, or you will die in it.
Well, and there's so many people that build it as a retirement plan, and they don't understand. You know that 75% of businesses on the market today don't sell?
What?
They don't sell. They're overpriced. They're trying to sell. They won't sell because they're trying to sell blue sky. And there's not if the business owner has, so let's say in the business, the 7 main positions in the business are owner, CEO, president, whatever title you want to give yourself, HR, IT, customer service sometimes, operations, finance, sales, and marketing, right? So now you have those are the positions in the business. When you see an owner that their name is in more than one of those or in all of those, the value of the business goes right in the shitter. And that's what we look at is we have to get, in order for businesses to sell in today's society, and I've said this 100 times, private equity, venture capital, or private investors, they don't want to buy you or me. They want to buy the business, they want a return on investment, and they want to be able to run the business the way they are. A lot of folks today, and the reason that 75% is out there is because that owner was told by somebody that they're going to want you just work for them for a couple of years.
Have you heard this, that I am the business?
Yeah. And that's what makes it worth dick.
When you hear this, you say, I am the business. I said, okay, good luck. And
that's what happens. We belong to the Texas Association of Business Brokers, exit strategies. We belong to a lot of different groups, and we get a lot of input and we stay educated. That's why businesses don't sell, is because the owner has been uneducated. They got really poor advice from their banker and their CPA, and they weren't educated on how to build the business because they didn't think it was anybody's business. Our job at the end of the day is to get the business owner, the family members out of the business. And, our mission statement is a commercial profitable enterprise that runs without you every day. Right? If it's commercial, it's profitable, and it runs without you, means you don't have to be there, which makes the value of the business go way up.
Higher, yeah.
And that's why we talk about it in the book all the time. It's like, get yourself out of a job, right? Get yourself out of a job. Don't own a job.
You fire yourself.
Yeah, but you can't fire yourself unless you have enough
system in place.
Well, systems and grit to make it happen. Yep. And trust.
That's the biggest thing.
Oh, I struggle with that. I know we've had that conversation. Yep. Like, one of the reasons that I'm in the business and I'm not running our business is because I'd rather help somebody else and work on their financials and their business than work on our own. I got Jody and Tanner that do that shit every day. I don't have to do that.
You're good at being out there, and, coaching and making things happen.
That's where I love to be. And, my goal in life in the next 10 years is coach people from my RV wherever that thing's parked. keep a handful, 5, 6 clients and help them get massive growth in their business and go visit all, by the time I'm 65, go visit all the national parks in my RV. Now everybody's like, oh, you want to go world travel? No, I don't. I'd love to see the US first.
Yeah. Or the backyard. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to see our backyard, go to Mexico, go to Canada, go to Alaska. And it's really interesting. I just went through with Jody. We just went through and did our vision board. We hadn't done that in a number of years for ourselves as a unit. And it was really, really good for us to go through that. And it's really, what's really funny about it is we had never talked about that with our son or even our daughter, but I was talking to Tanner about it as we've been going through this. And it was so funny as he threw his up there and we showed ours. There was a lot of similarities.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, holy crap, we do want a lot of the same things. And so here's a challenge for all of you business owners out there today. This was the best advice I think I've ever been given. And it was just given to me a few months ago. And I'm doing this wealth class, and the guy running the class, who's here in the Austin Metroplex, and he was talking. He's like, here's what I want you to do. Go get 2 bottles of wine, drink 2 bottles of wine with your spouse. No phone, no TV, no nothing. Drink 2 bottles of wine. And then at that moment in time, because your lips are loose and you're feeling the freedom of the alcohol, talk about what you really want. Talk about what you want for retirement, what you want for each other in life, what you want for your kids.
And record it.
Well, I'm not going to lie. The next day I was trying to read what I wrote. That was some serious, what the hell would I write there? And I'm asking Jody about it, but it was an exercise, and it didn't just last one day. It actually lasted about 5 days because we'd start talking about it. Now it was oh, I talked about this, and did you see this? And what the hell did I write on this Post-it note? And what did I do here? And we had to go back through and kind of sort it out, because 2 bottles of wine, I was happy because we had the third one open.
Yeah.
And by the way, an open bottle is an empty bottle at my house. And but I challenge all of you out there, you too.
Yeah, that's a good exercise.
Throw the phone. We left the phones on the chargers. It was a great process. And it brought so much clarity to us as a family unit and what we want to do for our kids and our grandkids and our grand dogs and, those that don't live here in Texas with us. But, legacy is not about me. Legacy is about what am I going to do for my family and how I want to get there.
Behind,
yeah. So it's like I said, a great exercise, great advice. I laughed a lot. I'm like, oh, that worked amazingly well.
Writing this book, did it come with any regrets? Do you have any regrets?
I have regrets just that I wasn't even able to talk to my dad. We have a great relationship today, and we've talked about it. But I think some of the regrets that I've had of the book, no, I needed to tell my story, and it's how I saw it. But I think the regret is that for the family unit, we couldn't, I know hindsight's 20/20 and I can't turn back time. I wish I would have had some of these tools, 25 years ago.
Wow.
Or even 30 years ago when I was a 20-something loudmouth. What's the first chapter? Go ahead, read it, Rami. What's the intro say?
Introduction. The conventional of a business brat. When SOB isn't it just a nickname?
Right. And so I wish I had some of these lessons to help my dad and his business and people before him. SOB stands for son of boss.
Son of boss. I really thought it means something else.
Yeah, and most people do. It's son of boss. I was a 20-something loudmouth know-it-all. It was funny. I was sitting in a bar with my dad and my daughter sitting there, and my daughter's like, did you ever just want to kill Andy? My dad, every damn day. And it's the truest statement ever. But those are some regrets I have. But, I can't turn back the clock.
This is good. One dream, one goal. That's all I ever had, which was to work in the family business. But Dad and Grandpa had one rule. If you were old enough to carry something, you were old enough to work.
Yeah.
That's the old days, man. That's so powerful.
So what's really funny is, you have deja vu or that BFO moment. So it was funny. So it was my dad, myself, Tanner, and Tanner's son. So 4 generations, right? We're standing there and we were moving Tanner, and Tanner was getting after Braden because he kept running up and down the ramp. And my dad stopped all of us. He's like, look, because you have to remember, he was 7 years old when my grandpa started the moving business, 1947. Right, Grandpa was in the World Wars to 1944, so he was away for 3-4 years, and then he came back and started the moving business. So it was funny. My dad stopped all of us. Look, I did that. He points at me. I did that. Tanner did that. Braden did that. All the kids do that. He's like, that is nothing new. Stop getting after him. Let him run. Well, what if he falls? Well, he'll only fall once. Right? He'll fall off the ramp. We all did. And he's like, and all of us fell off the truck. Like we running up and down, stop paying attention, run right off the side of the truck.
The old family values, man, are important.
Oh, and I have great lessons from my father. The truck never unloads itself. You have to do the work. Somebody has to do the work. If you're unwilling to do the work, don't open a family business.
I'm still saying that a lot of people, they want things, but they don't want to work for it.
And I can't help them that don't want it. There's no, look, in a family business, there's no entitlement. You can't have entitlement.
Imagine with the tools that we have right now, you didn't have that 30 years ago.
Oh, no, the moving business, moving is not technology based.
I know, it's just...
It's what did my dad say? He had mover's disease where his chest moved into his drawers after he turned 50. He got fat.
But how you were getting your clients those days for the hard work and quality work and word of mouth.
Oh, that's it. But that was a different time.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
You can't do that right now.
No, we have more people than we've ever had. There's more competition than we've ever had. And we have to go out and hunt for clients. And most importantly, in a family business, you can't show cracks in your armor. You cannot have, my business partner's this, and this. Well, that's your wife. Yeah. Okay, that's a problem. You have to be unified front because people see through that facade.
Exactly.
And you see over and over, but you have to provide an excellent customer experience.
That experience is so important.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even in today's society and what we do as experience, you have to create experience. That experience that differentiates you.
Yeah, it totally does.
When the next version is coming, the next chapter, next book?
I don't know. Right now, we are in scale mode in our business. So we are 100% in helping other businesses and growing our businesses and hiring more coaches and more team. We have some pretty lofty goals to hit this year. And the next book, Jody and I want to write a book about RV trips and some of the chaos and all the mistakes we've made. With that book will be hilarious. I promise you.
Yeah.
We don't know what that one's going to be, but I think the next business book will be probably written by all three of us on what it looks like. I don't know what it'll be called, but we've already started talking about, just some of the stuff that we've gone through and the challenges.
Each of you got one part of the business.
Oh yeah. You need perspective from, you may not need it, but I think the people out there need perspective from, my son's been with us since 2020. He's going into his 5th year right now. So he was in his late 20s. He just turned 34. Jody's always been part of the business behind the scenes. Before this, she was the CEO of the United Way. So I think the book's coming, but they all have perspective that I don't have, which will make the next book even that much better. But go buy it.
Yeah, you guys, go get this. This is a fun book to read. It's got a lot of good stories and a lot of good lessons. At the end of the book, you have some actually exercise that you can do that would benefit you right away. This is a good book, but do you have any advice for the people that 2025, everybody's saying, it's going to be a great year, let's do something. I'm serious. I hear that every day. Do you have any advice for the people that are going to go to the business, family, startups, friends, buddies? What advice do you have for them?
Get it right in the beginning.
Amen.
If you're going to start a business, get all the documents done in the beginning, get all the rules of the game in the beginning, get the exit set up in the beginning. And then build a plan. If you're in 2025 and you've already started and you don't have a plan for 2025, call us. Call us. Let's sit down and have a conversation about it. We can help you plan. We plan with our clients 4 times a year. We work with them hand in hand to help them build and execute plans. And how to the team? But that's my best advice is have a plan. Don't build a credenza plan. Don't build a napkin plan. You know what that is. I built a plan, I threw it in the desk and I forgot about it. The napkin is I wrote it on the back of the napkin. And don't feed me this hogwash or bullshit that we're going to do 25% more revenue. Revenue's vanity. I could give 2 shits if you do more revenue and you don't make any more profit. Plan on profit. If you don't know what that is, call us.
Amen.
We'll be happy to sit down and walk you through it, and we'll give you strategies and tactics that you can use tomorrow.
Because, we all have goals, we all have dreams, but dreams without action, they're just dreams.
Yeah, totally. Brad there's a chart that we have. It's dreams times goals. Actually, sorry, dreams, goals, learn, action. You hit it. That is the process that we go through. I think the misconception for a lot of us is we forget we have to learn. I don't know everything, but I read, I listen to podcasts, I have mentors, I surround myself with people that are smarter than me. If you're the biggest fish in the pond of friends you have, I'm sorry, go find a new pond.
Everybody asking me, why do you do this podcast? I'm not doing it for the fame, swear to God. This is my learning platform. I bring every guest like you, I learn something. Here you go. I just got a 45 minutes coaching session with you. You just didn't know it. I am serious, man.
Wesley knows it.
Yeah. I'll bring a tech, a founder that exited. I learn. I bring a psychologist. I learn. Learning is the biggest thing, man. And this is a problem in this society. We don't want to ask. If you need help, ask. People are out there to help you.
Yeah.
And you don't need to pay.
Yeah. And just
I'm not paying you here today.
I got tea and chocolate.
Yeah,
I got paid.
And chocolate. And then we're sitting here, we're talking, and then we are educating other people. And I am learning. And I'm going to adapt that. I'm going to learn it to my business. So it's good for all the people out there to just go and ask for help.
Absolutely. Look, I know in the 70s and 80s, I was taught never to ask for help, man, figure it out, right? Today is not that way. Yeah, be the man, grow up, don't cry. Today's society is different, man. Ask for help. And don't ask for, we were talking about being humble. You can be humble and ask for help and still have an amazing journey in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Amen.
Take the best, lose the rest.
Amen. Always good talking to you, my friend. Always.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me
man.
on.
We have fun as always. Thank you.